If Nigeria has so many beautiful places, why then are the communities around them not benefiting more from tourism? It's no longer rumor that Nigeria has lots of waterfalls, beautiful waterfalls, lakes, hills, deserts, and heritage sites. These are considered tourism assets. There's just one question I want us to be able to answer today, and that question is: there are places in Nigeria where people live beside some of the most incredible attractions in the country, but tourism rarely changes their lives. Why? Nigeria does not need more beautiful places. We already have a lot of those. We need to learn how to turn what we have into economic opportunities. And this is why I'm making this video. I may not have all the answers, but we need to start having these conversations. My name is Emmanuel Adama, and I've been doing tourism for almost a decade. So I have lots of experience and I've seen this firsthand. So we'll take a typical day of doing a tour as an example. When a client books for a tour, these are some of the things that are involved. First of all, we're going to need transport. We need to hire a driver, a car, depending on the size of the group. We're going to need a tour guide, which is where I come in. I become the tour guide. And there are stories to be told, right? So it means the tour guides have to be well grounded with the stories. So there are storytellers needed, apart from just having tour guides. The restaurants, after the tour, people need to eat, or even going for the tour. We have to stop along the road and buy food, buy water, and buy drinks. And many times we don't just go to one destination, we go to multiple destinations. So now you see, for a typical day trip, we visit like 3 places in Enugu, right? And when we get there, there are also people there that would be paid, right? That manage the place, per se, manage the place. Those ones are also paid. Afterwards, we come back. Most tours need photographers. So if a tourist comes, they want to be able to have good pictures of their experience. So you see that there are so many facets of the tourism economy that we're not tapping into. Like I said, I've been to 30 states out of 36 states in Nigeria. And for most of these destinations, these attractions that we go to, you will not find these things that I've listed. So now that tells you that there is a need for these things to exist, and that will boost the number of people and the experience people have when they visit those places. Because many times they will also want souvenirs. They will need cultural dancers who are going to come around and entertain them. Then they look for an art place, artisans benefit. They look for places to buy pieces that they can take home with them. And suddenly, one visitor is connected to multiple businesses and the economy booms. Even hotels, because there is a place the visitors are going to stay. Hotels benefit the transport industry. I mean, not just the driver at this point, the transport industry, because it's either the person comes in by flight and that is transport, or by land, at least to Enugu. The transport industry benefits, apart from the local drivers who are going to take you around the places that you want to go to. So why do many Nigerian attractions not create this chain? That is what I want us to be able to talk about today. Why do many attractions in Nigeria not create this chain around the industry such that everybody that is connected to the tourism industry, and that's virtually anyone, benefits? Off the top of our heads, we can begin to highlight some of the things that are the challenge. One of which would be poor access or no access at all, because most of the tourism attractions you're going to find in Nigeria are in their raw state. For example, a home waterfall, it's just in its raw state. There is no access to the waterfall. Weak or no visitor facilities at all. I'll use another example. There's a place in Enugu called Pine Forest, Enugu Pine Forest. It's a beautiful attraction with lots of pine trees planted over 50 years ago by the Europeans. Now, this place has no visitor facilities. When you go there, you have no experience center. There are not even restrooms. There are no restrooms in case a tourist is pressed. talk about another tourist destination in Enugu, the three-in-one destination in Ezago, um, um, Ezago Tourist Complex, right? Once you go there, and just like almost every other tourist destination in Nigeria, and you're pressed, what do? There are no visitor facilities. Another familiar challenge that you may also just mention is there's no management. Let's not even talk about poor management. There is no management at all. In almost all these destinations, there is no management. And management does not just involve taking money so that people can go to the destination. There are no stories attached to these places. I mean, you can go to a place without being engrossed, being immersed into the story of that destination. For me, when I take people on tours in Enugu, I take them through Milliken Hill because there are lots of stories about that road. It's the first road built coming into Enugu. If you've heard me talk about this, I mean, I've said it over and over again. Stories must be included, so there's no storytelling in most of the destinations. People who even have those stories are scarce. You don't have them because there are no tour guides who are grounded in the stories and experiences of those places. It affects the experience that people have when they visit. Another familiar challenge is safety concerns. I had a client who called today to book for a trip and he was concerned about security and safety of himself and his partner because they do not live in Nigeria. So this is a familiar challenge. Safety and security of visitors because visitors want to be assured that once they visit, they are able to go back to where they are coming from. So poor destination marketing and lack of infrastructure. Many of the destinations, again, like I mentioned, when you go there, you won't even have internet. You won't even have network access. There's no road. There are security concerns, and there's no management. So anyone can literally come out and task you and ask you to pay them. There are no receipts to say, "Oh, I paid this person for this." So you see, this are some of the issues. You may even know some of the other ones that I didn't mention here. So before we begin, I want to be able to distinguish between an attraction and a destination. An attraction is something worth seeing. For example, the waterfall in our home. Yeah, it's a beautiful attraction. The pine forest, beautiful attraction. Milliken Hill, beautiful attraction. Um, you name it. There are lots of attractions. There are over 20 waterfalls in Enugu. All of these are attractions. But now, a destination, on the other hand, is somewhere worth going to. So now I'll ask you, where do you think is a place worth going to? For example, the Obudu Plateau was an attraction at the time before the government came in and turned it into a destination and invested money in building a resort and taking the different attractions, the waterfalls, the grotto waterfall, the cataract waterfall, and turned these attractions into a destination such that visitors go week in, week out, and people revisit. So it's not just a place people go to one time and they go back home. They're able to revisit. There are lots of activities and things to do there. There's accommodation as well, such that people want to stay. It's not just an attraction. Now it's a destination. So now you understand that there's an attraction, which is points of interest. Yeah, but there is a destination, which is the higher level. And this is where I want us to be able to play in, not just having an attraction. So now we'll go back to the Enugu example that I mentioned earlier. I mentioned one Ohum waterfall. I mentioned the Ezagu Tourist Complex in Ezagu local government area. So now I'll take Ezagu Tourist Complex as an example. Ezagu Tourist Complex is a tourist attraction that includes a cave called Obaihuezi, Obai's cave in Igbo language, Obaihuezi, right? And just a few minutes walk from the cave, you get to Oboko Spring. That's Oboko Hot Spring, which is also called Obagada Waterfall. From the waterfall, it's also a short drive to the other destination, which is Iheneke Lake. Iheneke Lake is a very massive lake, just like the size of Nike Lake or maybe bigger, right? But like I said, these are attractions. So now I want us to discuss what is likely going to be involved in turning this particular destination, these particular attractions to a destination. to a proper destination. So the question is, what would have to change for someone to want to spend an entire day or more in this place? So back to our tourist complex. Imagine that the Ezagu tourist complex has cabins. There are lots of beautiful crawling hills in that space, in that community. Now imagine there are cabins, like wooden cabins, such that it gives living in the wild. And these cabins are properly maintained and managed. And people are able to stay. And it has internet. And there's a road access. And there are activities at the lake part that maybe includes jet skiing, um, paddle boat, or boat rides on the lake. Now, this simple addition moves this from just being an attraction to a destination people want to visit and spend at least one night because it's an experience, all immersive experience. Now imagine that when you go and stay in the cabins, you don't even just have to stay in the cabins. You can camp there. So there are camping facilities and they make it possible that people can camp and they have camping materials, camping gears that they can rent out to visitors, clients, tourists who are coming in, and you can camp on at different points of the hill, by the cave, towards the waterfall, that's Obaga the waterfall, or by the lake. Now imagine their activities like this. Imagine their bonfire activities that people do, weekend stays over in that place. Now, do you think people will visit and revisit? Now, remember what we're talking about is what would make someone want to spend an entire day or more there. We'll go back to a home, for example. Now imagine that there were quad bikes in a home. Because for home, when you get to a home waterfall or a home town, you have to park your car and do at least an hour walk from where you park your car to the waterfall. This is inevitable. Not like there is another option. So now imagine there are options that you can probably do a canopy walk to the waterfall or quad bikes. You ride your own quad bikes, and there are different points along that road where you can stop with people selling stuff. So you can buy drinks, water, snacks, whatever. Do you think people are going to visit? Last weekend I had um, a client who visited, and then he was like, yeah, I started sharing this idea with him that, yeah, we want to see if we can do quad bikes in our home waterfall so that people can ride the quad bikes. And he was like, damn it, if there is quad bike, I will come back to this place tomorrow for this quad bike experience. I will even come back another day, like the next day, for just the quad bike experience. Now it doesn't just um, say, oh yeah, we're going to the waterfall, right? We'll now walk and just do a long hike to the waterfall. No, there's an experience added to it. There's a quad bike. There is another activity that takes people's mind away from the long walk to that destination. So now let's talk about some of the people who benefit from a well-structured tourism economy. First on my list will be the tour guides. They tell the stories and take people to those destinations. They are the primary reasons why a visitor would have a good or a bad experience about a destination. Yeah. Then we have the drivers. Not transport companies now, drivers, because visitors are going to be able to commute, move from the airport to the hotel, move from the hotel to the destinations around. Restaurants are going to benefit because tourists are going to eat. Hotels are going to benefit because tourists are going to need where to stay. Then the transport companies, that's the airline operators, those who, I mean, fly people into the states or the different areas where people are going to explore. And then the transport companies also does provide land transport because not everyone is going to fly. Some places do not have flights to particular places, right? So there are transport companies that provide transport services on a daily basis to destinations, to different parts of the world or the country. Artisans, craftsmen who do stuff, photographers and content creators are even able to benefit. And the local communities benefit even more. because tourists visit, so they benefit. They now start looking for creative ways to build and create things and have things that tourists are going to buy or invest their money in. These are from the top of my head. You probably know some of the other ones and some of the other economic opportunities that exist from a well-structured tourism economy. So the question is not whether Nigeria has enough tourism attractions, because we do. The question is whether we are prepared to build systems around these attractions that will allow communities to benefit from them. Just like I made mention earlier, the Obudu Mountain Resort. Many of the staff who work there are locals. I would bet to say 90% of the staff who work there are locals. It benefits the communities. Even communities, farmers have their products, their bananas, their fruits sold to tourists. They have honey that you go to buy. Once you wake up in the morning, they're all over you, telling you, oh, we have this. Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? The question is whether we're prepared to build systems that allow the communities, the local communities, to benefit from tourism. And beautiful places do not create tourism economies, at least not in Nigeria or anywhere in the world that I know of. People, businesses, the right infrastructure, and destination management actually do. And this is the conversation I want to keep sharing on this channel. Until next time, let's build better destinations.